Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be unboxing, setting up, and reviewing this tankless under sink reverse osmosis water purification system up from Vortopt. Now although our drinking water is filtered and cleaned through the city, it's still not the cleanest and the purest water that we can consume. There's always going to be chemicals and other things that get into the water as a part of that filtration and even on its way to our kitchen sink. Now on several occasions, we have thought about getting one of those whole home filtration systems, but the cost for installation and even maintenance overall was more than we wanted to spend, which makes it perfect timing that Vortopt reached out to us when they did to test this water purification system out. Now because I'm not yet ready to drill a hole in my existing countertop to install this system, I figured I'd at least test it out for now and build a temporary fixture that I can use to test this thing out and use it until I'm ready to permanently install it, whether it's in my indoor kitchen sink or my outdoor kitchen area. Anyways, stay tuned and we'll unbox, install, and check this thing out. Okay, so as usual, before we do any kind of installation, let's go ahead and unbox this to see what all comes in the box and what it looks like to set this thing up. So as you can see, the box is pretty big. I mean, it's not too heavy, but it does have some weight to it. So first I'm gonna remove this so we can check out what the box and packaging looks like. Okay, so I think you can buy this in either a black or white color. They happen to have sent me the black version of this. It takes about 110 volts and 115 watts to power this thing. So just your typical outlet will work. Let's see, one of the requirements of course is a municipal water line connected to your house because that's where the water feeds in for this thing to filtrate so that it can produce that clean water for you. On the box, of course, you do see the unit itself, and this is the unit that goes under the sink. Okay, so other than that, there's not much else on the box and packaging itself. So let's go ahead and cut this thing open to see what all comes in the box itself. Okay, so it does come packaged pretty nicely with styrofoam just to keep the internal components safe. All right, so first is you get this red tube. You also get this little box of components. So let's move this aside and see what's inside this. Okay, so it looks like you get some more white tubing, and I'm guessing the color coding has a purpose. Thicker type of tube. This looks like the sink attachment. So this is the sink top itself, and then this is what it attaches to. So what's nice is it looks like it is got a touch button, a depressible touch button on it that allows you to turn on and turn off the system. And then you've got just a myriad of different little components and parts, as well as your AC adapter, AC power adapter. On the bottom of this looks like you get your instruction manual. So this is the installation instructions, which is pretty critical. And just really quickly looking at this, you know, if you're planning to install this permanently, you will need to either have an existing place that you can put it on your sink if it is an over-counter sink, or you're going to need to drill through the counter itself if your counter is covering the sink itself. So keep that in mind. You will also probably have to make adjustments and drill holes in your existing water pipes. So that's another thing you have to consider as well. Okay, so that's that. So we'll just put these aside. Okay, and to get this out, I'm probably going to put this on the floor. Okay, then of course is the water filtration system itself. So this is the brains, the heart, and the operating center for the whole system itself. This is what's going to clean and filter the water and do pretty much all the work. Okay, so at the top of this, you'll notice you've got a place for the wastewater to go out, for the tap water to go in, and the pure water to pump out. So it is an all-in-one inclusive system that does pretty much everything. Now what's nice about this is it just looks like a PC console. It has your indicators on the front. It's got a flush and reset button on the front, but it's a pretty sleek and nice little design. Let's go ahead and remove these little tapes to see what's inside the unit itself. Okay, so basically all the piping and tubes go through the top. You've got your power plug outlet on the back where you plug the AC adapter, and then you can eject the sides by just pressing in and pulling, I believe. But looks like this side came off the easiest, so we'll just deal with that side. And then on the inside, of course, you do get your filters themselves. So you get your composite filter and your reverse osmosis filter here. So there are two different filters that the water goes through in order to get cleaned and purified. So that's pretty nice. So I assume that when these two things need to replace, it's just a matter of lifting this thing up and pulling them out and sticking the replacement filters into it. So easy to remove, easy to install, I think. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this back on. Now the sides, the case itself is made of complete plastic, so that's, you know, durable and makes it a little bit more lightweight as well, so that's pretty nice. Okay, so installation should be a little bit more involved. It's probably not going to be something that's very simple. So let's move on and take this down to the garage or the kitchen and start working on the temporary structure that I'm going to use to install this thing to test it out. Okay, so first things first before we set this thing up. So the dimensions for this system, or at least for this main unit itself, is 5.7 inches in length, 15.3 inches in width, and 15.3 inches in height. So really small enough to fit perfectly under pretty much any kitchen sink itself. Now it's made up of a plastic material and it has a capacity of up to 1,000 gallons. This thing also retails for about $600 on Amazon, which I will leave a link to in the description section below if you do decide to buy one of these for yourself. And what's also nice about that is that there is an instant 30% coupon that you can apply on Amazon itself using my link below. Now that price point makes this thing pretty affordable versus the more expensive whole home systems. But then of course, this is just for the sink unit that you install it on itself and not for the entire home. Now, like I mentioned previously, the faucet unit itself, which is this part right here, does have a real-time TDS display as well as an indicator that lets you know when you need to replace the filters. Now, specifically for this faucet display, the TDS stands for total dissolved solids. And what that does is it refers to the total concentration of dissolved substances in your drinking water. Now, this can include salts, or really pretty much any kind of small amounts of organic matter that can be found in your drinking water. So of course, the lower the number, the better. But what that does is there's this little display that you can't see right now that lets you know what that number is. So you always know what the quality of the water is that's being filtered through the system. Now typically, between 50 to 150 is excellent, 150 to 250 is good, 250 to 300 is fair, and then 300 to 500 is poor and probably not a good source of drinking water. So you'll want to watch that number pretty closely. What's also nice about that number is it may give you an idea of when you need to replace the filter, although there is also these indicators on the unit itself that tells you when those filters need to be replaced. But you can also validate that using the TPD number on the display itself. Now what's also nice about this system is that it's supposed to help you reduce your overall water waste thanks to its 1,000 gallon capacity and also because of its superior filtration membrane, which should be able to help you purify up to 0.0001 micrometers, reducing 99.99% of contaminants in your water. In addition to this, each of the filters inside the system should last up to a total of 36 months before needing to actually replace them. And again, you do have an indicator on the faucet fixture itself that lets you know when to replace it. Now, this spigot itself should allow for a large water flow, giving you the ability to fill an 8-ounce cup within 5 seconds, which is super fast, so that you're not sitting there waiting to fill up a glass of water. And overall, one of the benefits to having this system is that you save money, not only because you don't have to install a whole home system, but also because it reduces the amount of bottled water that you need to buy, which is something that we're constantly at Costco buying. So that's something that I'm also looking forward to, is not having to lift those heavy packages of bottled water into the house all the time. Okay, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and see how we install this and see how well it works. Okay, so first things first, before I take this thing downstairs where the kitchen sink is, let's go ahead and get some of the little bits and pieces of work that I can do here in my studio out of the way first. What we have here is, of course, the top of the filtration system itself. And what you're going to notice are these little areas where you're supposed to connect these tubes. So on the far right, you've got your tap water input, you've got your wastewater output, and then you've got your pure water output. So the wastewater, I guess, is using this red tube, so you know which one's the waste. And the way you install these tubes is basically you pull up on the little cap itself, and then you press down on the little trigger, and that allows you to remove the cover. And you should hear a release of a pressure sound because it is a pressurized system. So once that's done, you just need to basically take the red one end of the red tube, stick it on in, and it'll lock, because when it pushes down, there's this little thing that locks onto the tube itself, so it won't release it. So no matter how hard you pull, it won't come out unless you press down on the little cap thing, and then it'll release the tube. So that's a pretty nice system that just makes sure that this thing is secure. So it's plugged into the top. So this is the wastewater. Next is the tap water. Again, you pull up on the cap and you push down on the little piece, and that will release this little cap that you remove, and then you install the tube that goes to the tap water. And then you just push that down, and again it locks in place as well. And then same thing for the purified drinking water, which is another little tube, except this one's white. And what you're going to do with this one is same thing, pull up and push down, and it'll release it, and then you just push this little tube in there. Okay, so it looks like I'm incorrect, so you'll probably have to cut this thicker tube and use one side for the tap water and one side for the pure water, because they are the larger tubes. So this one is probably some extra tubing for the inside of the unit itself, where the filters are. But yeah, for now, we'll go ahead and plug it up until I can unravel this tube and cut it so that it's long enough to feed into this one. Now when it comes to setting up the rest of the system, we need to follow step 3 in the instruction guide and use all of these extra little components that come in this bag. So based on this, okay, so this is the main unit that's going to connect to your existing water faucet, or the tubes at least under your sink, which should connect to the tubes. And then we've got this unit here with a bunch of washers. Okay, so this goes here, this goes here. Okay, and so for the rest of the installation, I had looked at trying to use the installation guide, but that was a little unclear, so I kind of figured it out. So this part is basically what you're going to connect to your existing water line underneath the sink. So you would connect the existing water line into this end, right here, the male or female section, and then this would be the hose that connects to the rest of it, and you just connect it all there. And then you'd unscrew the top, and this is where you would connect this thick tube, which takes the tap water into the device itself. So you still have your flowing water normally for the sink, and then you'd also have this tube where water would flow into the unit itself. So you'd fix it into this 3/8 threaded fixture, so you'd stick the tube in there, and then you'd tighten it down using this little placeholder cap, which would then secure the tube itself so that it would then be connected to the system. So basically it would look something like this underneath the sink. So you take this, and of course you're going to cut this in half because you also need this for your pure water output to the new faucet. So you'd fix this in here. Well, let's make sure we put this on here first. You'd wiggle the tube into it until it's secure. Okay, so what you're going to do is slide this in, which is the holder, and you're going to get this secured on there. You're going to bring this down and screw it down just to make sure it's airtight and secure. And then you're going to want to use probably some kind of wrench or something to tighten it down. And then you're going to connect the faucet input and then the faucet output, which goes to your regular sink. So input, output, so that the water continues to flow to your sink. And then you're going to turn it up to open it up so that it flows through here. And then this goes into the top of your tap water. Okay, and then once that's done, you're going to install this in the sink itself, and you're going to want to fix this. So you're going to push it all the way down into this thing until it locks. And then you're going to take the cap off of this sensor, which measures the amount of particles in your drinking water, and you're going to stick it into the front end, and it too will also lock. And that allows it to read the amount of materials that's in the water to tell you how clean it is. And then the other end of this goes into the other end of this tube, which should be in the pure water section. So it flows up and out through this little faucet, which you're also going to push down into this as well. So that's what the installation looks like. So we'll go ahead and connect all of this. We'll connect this piece to the bottom of my kitchen sink, and then we'll just connect this to a temporary fixture so that we can at least test this out. And then this just goes into your existing wastewater pipes. You're going to need to drill a hole into your wastewater pipe and then feed it through this little ring which wraps around your wastewater pipe so that all the wastewater can flow out of this thing and down to your wastewater pipe under your sink. So we'll go ahead and set that up, and then we'll see how well it works. Okay, so we've had this reverse osmosis water purification system from Vortopt installed temporarily in a makeshift fashion for about a week now, and I think it's working well. Now I myself can't taste the difference between filtered water and non-filtered water because my taste buds probably suck. But my wife does say that the water, once it's gone through this system, tastes so much better and a lot cleaner than just from the tap water. So I'll definitely take her word for it. She is definitely more sensitive when it comes to water quality, so cheers to that. Overall, I do think it works well, and I think the price is very reasonable, especially with the instant 30% off coupon you can apply when you use the link in the description section below. Now the system itself is easy to set up, and it pretty much fits every single kitchen cabinet, so that's not something that you'll have to worry about. Now, if you appreciate clean, filtered drinking water, then I definitely recommend this reverse osmosis water filter system from Vortopt. The only thing I had an issue with was this slight buzz that the system makes when you turn it on. But with the cabinet door closed, that really wasn't an issue and you could hardly hear it at all. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. And like I mentioned before, if you're interested in picking one of these up for yourself, please use my link in the description section below. Please also make sure you click that like button and subscribe to support this channel, and also ring that bell icon to get notified when I post new content. Until next time, see ya.